Okay. We are now to board member reports. We'll start down at the end with Member Izumi.
Thank you. Just a short report. I just want to first thank Member Thomas for chairing once again our Classified Employees Committee that I had a pleasure to serve on once again, and we met and had a very good discussion about the many great applications that we had, and thank all the members of that committee who worked very hard, and also thank Jerry Griffin who provided the support from the Chancellor's office for that effort. So thank you very much. The only other thing is that I had the opportunity at the beginning of the Sacramento Rivercats baseball season to throw out the ceremony first pitch.
Wow.
The Rivercats' second home game of the season.
Wow.
And so if anyone's interested, I have a picture of me in mid-throw. I look like Sandy Koufax.
Was it a strike or a ball?
Well,
Did you get it to home plate?
In that picture, I look like Koufax. If you look where the ball ended, I look like Lance Izumi.
Very good. Member Davis Lyman.
Right. I had the pleasure of attending, along with the Chancellor and other board members from the Foundation Board, the California Connects at American River College on a rainy day where parking was impossible. And then the pleasure of with Vice President Perez at the CCLC luncheon for Phi Theta Kappa, and to give the certificates to our community college academic stars. It was a thrill. It was what we're all about, and Alice and I just had a wonderful time, spirited time being there. Also attending Lobby Day, and I'd like to give kudos to Vice Chancellor Marlene Garcia, also to Rose and Sandy who worked hard on that. Although it was a three-segmental Lobby Day, it was evident that our staff really played a major role in bringing that together. It's such a successful activity. I'd also like to thank them for last night's reception. Vice Chancellor Garcia, Rose, and then Mary helping with that. I attended the spring plenary of the Academic Senate, and I think a very interesting title called Shift Happens, where faculty discussed very thoughtfully the various concerns of keeping that flickering flame of hope alive for all Californians who come to our campuses. Last Friday was a very important day at Sierra College because a new building was named after Kevin M. Ramirez, and it's the Science and Technology Building. And it certainly was very thrilling to me because I taught for 17 years, team taught with Kevin Ramirez at Sacramento City College before he went on to become the chancellor at Sierra for many years. So it was a very warm ceremony. Thank you.
Good, very good. Member Ramos.
Well, I have been busy, although I haven't been here. And I'll say more about the confirmation process, hopefully not too much, but as you know, thanks to your continuing confidence, I've continued to serve on the board of directors for the Foundation for California Community Colleges, and I've been very involved in that capacity on governance issues, certainly on fund development issues, with which Jack Scott, as our chancellor, has been actively engaged as a partner and leader. And most recently, and my most important point is that I was tasked with Patty Sullivan, who also sits on this board, to engage in a current evaluation of the past year's performance of our CEO, and also, and importantly, to work around proposals to improve our process of evaluation for the chief executive and other top-level performers at the foundation. And I think that that's an important connection that, as I understand it, in the past perhaps has not been quite connected to our work on the BOG, and we want to be sure that that happens going forward. So I'm grateful that I've been asked to be a part of that process. Also, I've continued to serve on the board of the Foundation for Cuesta College, which is my home community college. We're doing some important work there. I'll spare you the details, but it's a great board to be a part of. And then most importantly on this confirmation process, which I know has been a frustration for all of us, I really do want to thank Chancellor Scott, obviously all the members of the board for your encouragement, your support, your patience with me. I also want to thank Eric Skinner, who's been involved in that process and very helpful to me, and especially Marlene Garcia, who has just been, wow, whatever they're paying you, it's not enough for the hand-holding and the support and the advice and counsel that you've provided. It's been fantastic. I'll just close on my remarks by saying in connection with this confirmation process that Marlene and Peter McDougall and I had an opportunity to meet with members of the governor's staff as part of this vetting process the other morning, and also with the Senate Rules Committee staff. And I just want to surface 3 issues that came up in those conversations that I think are important for us to keep in mind, because they were, I think, directed to me and Peter, but in a way that was extended to the larger board for consideration and attention. And one of those issues is transparency around the executive compensation issue throughout our system. As you know, there have been reports in the media about very disparate compensation packages for our executives. And I think in this environment that has raised questions about whether there's a need for review, for any degree of intervention and standardization or guidelines on our part. I don't know what the solution is on that point. I've had the opportunity to speak with Member Baca, who has expressed, I think an appropriate sense of constraint on what our capacities might be to intervene in that area. But I do think, because it's of concern to other major stakeholders, that that's something that we should probably formally take some look at. I think also, in light of some of the news reports that have come out of the Los Angeles district lately, there's been concern about ethical contract compliance. I know that's been on our minds, but there is some sense, I think, in those other quarters about the prospective need for our board to play a more hands-on oversight role in relationship to standards, guidelines, or other potential measures that we may be able to take or should take in that connection. And I think that may be something worthy, obviously, accordingly, for further conversation. And then particularly where the governor's staff is concerned, I think we heard a loud and clear message that they want to have an active interaction with us in terms of early communications around any major policy issues that we are hoping to move. I think there was a little bit of miscommunication on one item. I'll spare you the details on that. But I do think that we've had an invitation that I hope that we will meet more than halfway from the governor's office to be much more proactive in engaging with them and signaling early in advance any notions that we might want to pull forward around legislation or other actions that could be important where they would be involved. So if I've misspoken on any of that, I look to Vice Chancellor Garcia to correct me, but I think I heard those messages pretty loud and clear, and I promise to convey those to the board, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that at this time.
Member Baca.
Okay, first of all, I just want to begin by congratulating the classified employees and, commend the hard work that they do. And I think, as Chancellor Scott mentioned this morning, it's a backbone of the system. It's great that we're able to, at least once a year, provide those awards. My activities have included attending the plenary session, and Vincent Tinto was one of our speakers there, and always very informative. Also attended accreditation seminar, played actually a panelist role there on the role of trustees in accreditation, and attended a couple of events with Secretary of Labor Solis on jobs and the economy. And related to that, I did attend a presentation by a couple of economists from UCLA and USC that actually presented a fairly favorable forecast of what we can see in the next coming years, even though of course the job creation is sluggish. They pointed a number of things that we can be very optimistic about. Cautiously optimistic, but nevertheless optimistic, so good presentation on that. On the Student Success Task Force, and we all know why the initial motivation may have been one or two things in particular, but I know that the Chancellor wants very much to be able to come out with some recommendations early next year to this board regarding student success. And we are covering a lot of ground. I think, just like any group, it needs to form itself and go through some discussion about process, but I think we're moving along with that. Among the things we're talking about, incentive or performance-based funding, assessment, we spent some time on that, maximum units, late registration, financial aid policies, priority registration, technology and data use. Patrick Perry has done some really excellent presentations before us and been very informative and enlightening. Basic skills instruction, accelerated type of programs. We're labored through some of that, what that means, but that's just a few of the things that we're working on. So on the veterans, Bobby McDonald, who we all miss very much at this meeting. It seems like a big hole there. There is an empty seat where he normally sits, but he and I are still in contact. We over the last year and a half have spent a lot of time meeting with numerous people from different agencies, and we've tested out some ideas. And lately, and I mentioned this to the Chancellor and to Scott and Eric, and worked with Linda Makalowski and Jeff Spano on some ideas that we have been kicking around with regard to, what is it that we can do to better serve veterans. And there is something, and I won't go into any of the details, but just for your information referral advocacy component that I think would be very useful for community college counselors at the local colleges, just not in terms of the academic program, but in terms of referral to all of these other agencies and some of the agencies that Bobby and I have spoken to, saying, that'd be great, that would really connect us much more closely with the community college instead of spot checking and so forth. And the other thing is coordination of military occupational specialties with our career tech programs. And this can be discussed at many levels, articulation, but I also just as an information to veterans themselves as to where it fits. I had an opportunity to spend some time and lead help host a tour for Alicia Villarreal, who's the West Coast representative for Secretary Solis, at a DOL-funded program at Mount SAC on building automation, and it's a 30 student cohort. It's the first cohort group, and I asked one of the things is, what is it that's the likelihood of these people being employed? These students that we have here, they're all going to be employed. It's in refrigeration, automation, heating, and it's a very it's just a great program. And maybe a little biased. I'm obviously there at Mount SAC, but if I was visiting at any campus, this program, it really is an ideal kind of program that actually leads to jobs. But one of the things that and I've discussed this with the coordinators there, is there are no veterans as a part of that program, and that in itself is neither here nor there, except that it seems to me that we ought to do a better job of connecting career tech programs and our military veterans, since they come in with specialties. And I'm assuming there's a related specialty in refrigeration and heating in the military. So it just seems to me that there'd be a connection there. And lastly, Jonathan Lightman mentioned yesterday that be working on a conference with the FAC and the Chancellor's Office this September in San Diego. Thank you.
Good. Vice President.
Just a couple things. One of the things I did, as Member Davis Lyman said, I did attend the CCLC luncheon, which was a very rewarding event, and I would encourage all board members, if you're in the area next year, to attend it, to see all these students coming up that have earned these scholarships and to hear a little bit about their stories. And it's statewide. It's very moving, and it brings it back to why we're all here, and it's about the student. Also attended the Student Academic Senate General Assembly. We actually hosted a session there. It was the first time for the Board of Governors, Vice Chancellor Michalowski actually sat on the panel with me along with Student Senate Representative, and we answered a lot of questions. And two things that kept rising through the questions, and Vice Chancellor is going to follow up on a couple of them, was students' concern about their representation at the table on the local level, and to what extent that representation can be. And secondly, it was the issue of several students felt like because there is not a consistency across the system in course offerings, that they were being forced to take more courses than they needed because their course offerings were not being accepted. And so I've asked the Vice Chancellor to follow up on those items as far as what can we do? Is there anything we can do at all? Just to make sure that we're responding to what the students have said to us. But they were very receptive to us being there. They really liked the fact that we actually held a session and they had an opportunity to talk to us. They were very, very interested in what our actual role was and what the differentiation was between us and the local boards, because they didn't really understand that structure. And so we spent a lot of time understanding that, explaining that structure to them, and really explaining the duties that we hold versus the duties that the local boards hold. The other thing is I did attend the intersegmental lobby day. Vice Chancellor Garcia and her staff did an excellent job. I was part of a wonderful team, and I think we had a lot of great discussion, and we really, just tried to focus on the fact that what the community college contributes to the local economy is extremely important. And when we're looking at workforce development and we're looking at the economy in general, we are a solution to the economic recovery. And that was the message we were trying to send. We didn't focus on, getting more funding or things like that, but just the potential impact that we have on the economy recovering. And I think that message was very receptive. I do want to compliment on the format of the book. I love the fact that it's broken out into the different segments as far as, the calendar, the actions, the readings, information, and special items. From a board member's perspective, it just makes it so much easier. I do have to admit that I was quite surprised when I opened and I saw our pictures on the front. And I just want to know, did, Bobby McDonald have anything to do with this? Because I would have swore that was something he left behind. Anyway, thanks staff again for helping us prepare for the meeting, but also for all your efforts. The legislative reception last night was great.
Yeah, I also want to commend and Jerry and Steve and others. I think the agenda is really, really been improved, very easy to follow, a lot more detailed. So I thank you for your work on that. Just quickly, yes?
I'm sorry. I forgot to mention, I did participate in Hands Across California, and I went to Sierra College. I just have to tell this quick story because it's really cute. I took my little granddaughter with me. She's 4 years old. And so we get there, and she says, Letha. She calls me Letha. She says, Letha, is this for little children? Is this for kids my age? And I said, yeah, you can be here. So we go up. They give her a balloon and everything, and then they're handing out pizza. And then so her eyes open wide, and they said, do you want pizza? I said, I don't know. Do you think that's for little kids? She said, yes, Letha, yes, it is. So yeah, we had a great day. We were up at Sierra College. Thank you.
That's good. So, yeah, just quickly, I had the opportunity to tour both Palomar and Grossmont colleges. I think I've got 9 colleges in my area, and I think I've been to 7 out of 9 of them now. So I learned quite a bit about them. When I visit, I always ask, tell me the one thing that I can say that you excel in. And so now I know over at Grossmont, it's the nursing and allied health program, and like for Cuyamaca College, it's horticulture. So it's good to get familiar with all of the colleges. And then just lastly, I will be doing the commencement address at Cuyamaca College in June, so I'm going to have to ask the chancellor for some pointers in what you say. Member Baum.
Thank you. First off, my apologies for jumping up and down this last hour of the board meeting, and so I appreciate everybody's patience with me. Number 2, again, we've missed some board members here this morning, and I'm hoping that perhaps when the proceedings of this meeting are posted on the web, that we could circulate the links so that so those of us who missed some presentations, we can catch up. So I'm hoping that gets up there on the web quickly, promptly after this meeting. So I just wanted to make that request so that we can keep track of what's going on. I took a meeting, I work at USC for my day job, in the Center for Urban Education. Linda Wong and Estela Ben-Simon wanted to brief me on their activities and wanted to ask that I communicate to the Board of Governors and the staff that they remain a resource for research and information about higher education policies, and so I wanted to pass that along. And then I was pleased to participate in the Pasadena City College Hands Across California, and also hope that the gift that we received, the $4 million bequest, is the first of many that starts an avalanche of philanthropic support for community colleges up and down the state, because I think that the folks up and down the states, alumni, parents, business leaders, are just waiting to be asked to support community colleges, and you can see immediately the impact. USC got $4 million of that gift that week had, and PCC got $4 million of that gift. And don't tell my colleagues at USC, but PCC, you will see immediate impact of that gift that's going to change lives for students from now and into the future. And it will make a huge impact at PCC. It will be great for USC, but the community colleges are a prime target for philanthropic support and impactful support. So I hope that we continue to encourage that.
Jeff, realize you're going to be on the web now. So
Yeah, exactly.
hear this.
And I was just filling time until Peter got back, so he could tell us how it was on the Hill. We're doing our board member reports.
Oh, board member report. Well, as far as I know, everything's going smoothly, so I guess we'll know more Wednesday at 1:30. That's going to go before Senate Rules Committee, so. But every meeting thus far has been very positive, so.
Member Thomas.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. I have been, over the last couple of months, participating and working on the classified awards, along with my colleague, Member Izumi. Thank you for your support, all board members' support and participation. I'd also like to thank the Chancellor's Office staff and the Foundation staff for participating as well, and especially in Jerry. Is she blushing? Without her diligence and patience, it would be very difficult to accomplish what we've been able to accomplish as a board. So thank you, and Jerry, for caring and your diligence. I also participated on April 17th in the Hands Across California, and I chose to go to Woodland Community College. And there was maybe a small group, but enthusiastic representatives from Woodland Community College, as well as from Feather River Community College, who had a van as well as a car and drove all the way to Woodland to be able to participate with that group. And that's, for those who are not familiar, Feather River College is in Quincy, which is probably, about a 3-hour drive, I would guess, to Woodland to be able to do that. So it was my honor to participate with them there. Thank you.
Member Haley.
Yes, I just wanted to piggyback on the comment that was made about the classified employees and the honoring of those people. And over the years, it's been just a delight for me to see that the board honors special groups of people in the way that we do. And we're just proud to be part of the board for that. And also I'd like to also congratulate Marlene and all the staff for another wonderful legislative evening. Much as we didn't want to say goodbye to Terry, the gathering for the legislators was really excellent. So thank you very much.
Member Magomed.
I got asked to speak at the Registrar and Admission Officers Conference a few weeks ago, and it was the statewide conference down in Long Beach. And it was interesting for me, I attended some of their meetings, to hear some of their frustrations, on the ground, how small things would make a big difference for them. So I appreciated hearing them, and they spoke very well of Member Tana Thomas, so that was nice also. And I've been going through the governor's appointment and rules committee process, and I just want to say you forget it once you're done with it. And they have made it much more vigorous compared to 6 years ago. So it's been an interesting process, but it is time consuming. You forget that also. And I participated in Hands Across California at Long Beach City College, and it was a very tough day to do it because the Grand Prix weekend is there, and that was exactly in the middle of the final big race. So it wasn't a large group, but I was happy to be there, and they have done a lot of building on that campus, so I also got to see the building there. So it was good for me to do it. Thank you.